Now to Brian Welberg, the most consistently joyous man in Australian agriculture somehow. Almost. Wait for him. I know he's a bit of a rock star, but just wait. With a background in export crops, cattle breeding, safari and wildlife conservancy, Brian trained with Alan Savory in Zimbabwe in 1995 and completed his educator's qualification in 1998. And since then, he has lived a fair rock star kind of existence. He does have a fan base, as you could hear then. He's always on tour. He's always moving around Australia, teaching HM and driving it as well. He's also on the board of Land to Market Australia, helping to help you discover your own insights, which is always surprising. You come away from a conversation with Brian going, oh, how did he do that? Anyway, Brian Welberg. Brian?
Yes, folks, not my normal attire. I hope there are a couple of you in the room who will attest to the fact that I don't normally dress this way. But I come dressed this way to honour all of those of you who've dared to be different. Dared to go against the norms, dared to go against society, and sometimes dared to go against community and friends. I honour you today because, like me today, you've had the courage and braved the risk. The risk to go against the flow, the risk to be seen as different. So thank you. Each and every single one of you wonderful people in this room that have dared to be different. Some of you dared to think differently, and some of you have dared to act differently, and that's why you're here today. To think and act differently is to risk alienation, to risk condemnation. They've been thanked before, but I'd like to thank them again personally, for they've made my journey, I've got to work this thing, haven't I? They've made my journey on the road less travelled a lot easier. Spread with like-minded people, caring and helpful people. I'd like to thank Bruce and Susie Ward, Brian Marshall, Stan Parsons, Terry McCosker, Bill Mollison, Peter Andrews, David Marsh, Andre Voisin, Pierre Yeomans, and of course Alan Savory, a fellow Zimbabwean. I've got to score points when I can. Alan was thinking he played a major role in my life and opening up my mind to all the wonderful knowledge that's out there. And it's knowledge and experience that many of you share in this room today. However, I don't think it's either the lack of knowledge or the abundance of knowledge or the abundance of technology that is driving many of our problems that we face today, either on the farm or globally. If we track our knowledge today has literally exploded. Today we know more about the human gut biome, a square inch of soil, our atmosphere, and indeed our deep oceans. Today we have more technology available to us than at any time in human history. We have gone from learning with the Wright brothers to fly to entering deep space in just over 100 short years. Currently, I believe there are 2 satellites orbiting Mars and actually 1 travelling on the red planet, investigating, looking for signs of life. But while our levels of knowledge and technology have soared, sadly, our environment has plunged. And I become fearful when I hear quoted that we only have 60 harvests left. I become fearful when I hear that for every kg of food we produce, we lose 9 kgs of topsoil. Oops, my apologies, I skipped one. I become fearful when I hear the Gobi Desert is spreading at 2,500 square kilometres every single year. 2,500 square kilometres every single year. I become fearful when I learn that Germany has lost, the technology is with me. There we go. That Germany has lost 75% of its insects. I believe we're only starting to count our own losses here. However, fear in humans doesn't drive that sustained change that we need to turn the ship around. Fear, like that we've recently experienced in those catastrophic fires, terrible droughts, and more recently, terrible floods, makes us humans hunker down. We hunker down, we wait for the catastrophe to pass, and then we get on with life as normal. So what do we need to do to drive the sustained change that'll turn this all around? When I read Charles Massey's book, The Call of the Reed Warbler, and I read the terrible crises that beset the courageous farmers that he mentions, I believe what pushed those men and women through crisis into the required sustained change that blazed a path for many of us to follow was hope, was positivity. Indeed, when I read reports why some survived the terrible events of the Second World War and the prisoner of war camps, it wasn't the fittest or the strongest. It wasn't the biggest or the smallest or the weakest or the smartest who did whatever it took to survive those terrible conditions. It was those that had hope, those that had a positive vision of what it would be like to walk through those gates for the last time. People with hope and passion will do whatever it takes. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is what I believe holistic management has. Through Alan Savory's thinking, I've had the pleasure of seeing people everywhere. Is that me? Everywhere gain hope and passion. People from all walks of life, whether they're farmers, lawyers, mechanics, or even politicians. Through the centerpiece of holistic management and holistic thinking, we humans connect with our deep-held values and feelings that make us feel good, that make us who we are. These are the deep drivers that create passion in each of us. And through the holistic context, we create a clear picture of what our communities need to be like, and that Garden of Eden, okay, or heaven on earth. It's easy to become passionate about things that we really want, and taking time to simply write them down cements that passion. It's that passion that allows us to push through ridicule, to push through failure, to push through adversity, to succeed through all the changes that lie ahead. This, I believe, is what Charlie Arnott so eloquently refers to as the paddock between your ears, or the human social that Charles Massey refers to in his wonderful book. With a holistic context, we don't need to wait for the next catastrophe. The positive picture created by your holistic context allows you to make that sustained change, decision by decision. I don't believe regen ag happens. There isn't a moment when you become regenerative. You can't measure that point of regen ag. You don't wake up one morning and you're regenerative. That change happens over longer time frames, small change by small change, decision by decision. I'd like to refer to Simon Sinek. It's a bit like going to the gym. On day one, you go to the gym, you work out, you come home, you stand in front of the mirror, nothing. On day two, you go to the gym, you work out, you come home, you stand in front of the mirror, nothing. But it's the passion that keeps us moving forward. Okay, it's the passion that keeps us doing what we need to do until eventually even I could have a physique like that. It's our belief, it's our passion, and eventually we can start making the changes that we need to work through all the challenges that are going to be thrown towards us, okay, and to turn the ship around, turning it towards a new, a better, a regenerative direction. A direction bustling with life, clear flowing streams, and happy families. Holistic management through the holistic context gives us that direction in which we need to head. There are many directions available for us to move in that direction, acknowledging that every farm is different, every person is different. The dynamics of every situation where weather, seasons are constantly changing, that people and finances are constantly in flux. You're not the same person you were yesterday. Sadly, you're all a day older. In the swirling soup of what lies ahead, you'd better be absolutely clear of your direction. The directions and what you will do will surely change. Direction versus directions. We need to know the difference if we're going to succeed. Holistic management creates the direction for all of us to plot that course towards. I'd like to end just quickly with a quick story about a professional gambler. This man had been gambling all his life, and one day while on holidays on a cruise ship, he happened to find himself down in the engine room with some of the crew members playing cards. And when he looked at his next hand, he discovered he had the 10, the Jack, and the Queen of Hearts. And as he drew the next card, he saw that he had the King. And so, with a lot of trepidation, he drew the final card, and there he saw the ace. And he thought, my God, I've just drawn a royal flush. And he looked back and he thought in his own mind while he was trying to control the tremor and the excitement of what had just happened, and he thought, you know, all the years that I've been playing cards and gambling, never once have I been dealt a royal flush. This must be an incredibly lucky ship, this RMS Titanic. Thanks very much, folks. I've got a really vibe from the session and look forward to catching up with all of you. Thank you very much. Thank you.